Alright guys, so we're just going to do a little bit of squat technique work and kind of go over some of the reasons of where we do things and why we do them. So with the squat, it's a very individual thing, and what that means is the positioning that you should set up in. So a lot of people will have been taught how to squat by one person in front of 30 and everyone copies that person, but if they squat quite narrow and your body isn't built to squat narrow, you're going to end up with toes and up on the toes, knees driving out, hips going all over the place. Whereas for you, might be better a little bit wider. So there's a few tests you can do. You can go for a jump and then land, and then that position you land is where you're comfortable to drive from. Or just have a little mess around and just feel where you feel more comfortable in. Go a little bit wider, try there. I squat quite narrow compared to most people. So foot position is quite important. Then it's just about making sure that you shape your body how best suits you again. So a lot of people will try and stay way too upright, so they'll try and squat. And because you get told to keep your back straight, they'll try and keep your back straight, bolt upright. But my back's still straight when I hinge my hips backwards. So be okay and comfortable with sticking your bum back as you drop down into that squat. My back's still straight, the position's better, I can get a little bit lower. If you feel when you come up onto your toes when you're squatting, usually you're not sitting your hips back far enough. So progression would be to go from that bodyweight position, then we'd move into a goblet or kettlebell, so it could be kettlebell, dumbbell, whatever. So wrap into the chest, so we get that foot position. We're going to tilt the bum back a little bit first, so we're in a nice strong position. And then when we're going into the squat, we're going to drive the knees outwards. That doesn't mean moving your feet, it just means consciously bringing the knees out as we squat. It's just a slightly better position. You can drive a little bit more power from there. Depth-wise, it's very personal again, so if you feel comfortable, we tend to say try and get hips parallel to knees, but for a lot of you, that's just physically impossible. You're not going to be able to get that low into the squat. So find where your range is. If it's here and you physically can't get any lower, not just you being lazy and want to squat too heavy, then that's your squat depth. Don't worry about it. I think a lot of people force depth into the squat and you really, really don't need to. So have a little think about that positioning, have a little think about that depth, work up the weight with the kettlebell. A good guide as to when you would move towards the bar is you can squat your quarter of your body weight with a kettlebell in for about 10 reps and you feel kind of comfortable with that. That's a good sign that you can move towards doing a bar. So this sort of 28, if you're 80 kilos, that'll be about the weight you'd work to. And if you can kind of get comfortable without you losing your posture, then we think about moving towards a bar. It's a barbell position. There's a few ways of wrapping the bar onto your back, a low bar and high bar. For most of you, what you do is you end up going too high onto your back and you're resting the weight on that bony bit of your neck. So what you want to do, I'll put it up so you can see better, is get it below that bone, so you're spreading the bar right across the traps, right across your shoulders and into your hands. Then we're going to unwrap the bar, couple of steps again, get that foot position that you feel comfortable with, that you were using with a goblet squat. Tilt the pelvis back and then we're just squatting down again to that parallel position if you can. If not, then just work into the depth that you've kind of figured out with dumbbell or kettlebell. What we do find is when we get onto the barbell, people start chasing the weight, start lifting too heavy, and then they're not going as low as they should be. That weight, the depth you get with that kettlebell should be the same depth you get with this bar. If it isn't, you need to take weight off and then start building it up. If you're really struggling, you can do box squats. Now, again, we'll kind of coach you through that. This is just a bit of a quick video on how to sort of set up and personalise a squat. Yeah, I want you to sort of use that in your sessions. Make sure that you're getting that depth. Make sure you find the right foot position. Make sure you're not jumping into bars too early. Make sure you're not racking too much weight on the bars, and you will then start seeing good progress. If you start forcing it too early, your progress isn't going to come as fast and you're more likely to get injured, and we'll say to you, stop doing that squat. Alright guys, obviously hope to see you back in next week and you can get some decent weights lifted.